strange thing happened over the course of the past week. Jonathan Denis, the Justice Minister in Alberta, is no longer in cabinet. He has been removed from the office of Justice Minister. Premier Jim Prentice, the Premier and the head of the PC party, has this to say about it.
Listen, Jonathan Denis, I spoke with him on this Saturday, asked him to step aside as the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General. I did that for a very clear reason. He has a personal matter, a private matter, before the courts. I think everyone knows it relates to his marriage. From my perspective as the Premier, you cannot be the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General while you have litigation before the courts. I don't think it's appropriate. The Minister of Justice is responsible for the administration of justice. I don't think it's appropriate for him to be a private litigant, even in a family matter, before the courts while he's serving in that position. So I asked him to step aside, and he's done so.
Except that just doesn't explain things, because you see, politicians, cabinet ministers, even the odd leader of a province gets into civil lawsuits all the time, divorces all the time. You do not step down from cabinet simply because you're going through a divorce or having a civil lawsuit. If that's all it took, you could imagine the troublemakers would file a nuisance lawsuit against any cabinet minister just to get them removed from high office. That's not what's going on. In fact, according to reports in the CBC and elsewhere, police were called to the home of Jonathan Denis. Police were called. That's not a normal divorce. That's not a normal civil suit. But the strangest thing is the lawsuit itself, the trial or hearing itself, is not just subject to a publication ban. The courtroom itself is turned into a secret in-camera hearing. That is extremely un-Canadian to have a secret trial. In Canada, divorces are not secret. They may be very personal, but they're not secret. Even the case of a young offender or someone who was abused as a child and whose name is withheld from publication, the trial itself is open to the public. There's just a specific publication ban on this person's identity or that person's identity. I cannot name a single other suit in Canada, with the possible exception of some terrorism matters, where the whole thing is under a cloak of silence. We do not have star chambers in Canada. Isn't it a funny coincidence that the Justice Minister himself was able to get a secret trial right in the course of an election? Stranger still, that Jim Prentice, the Premier, says he's allowed to know what the secret is, but you and I aren't. And Jonathan Denis is not competent or is not able to serve as a cabinet minister, but he's okay as a lowly MLA. This is all very bizarre, but the strangest thing of all is Jonathan Denis's own statement saying he's going through a divorce and will people just leave his private matters private. I say again, divorce suits are not sealed. Police are not called to normal houses, and he is not a private person. He's a public person running in an election, and he's asking for public support. If Jonathan Denis were to resign and go off into the sunset, I'd say, leave him alone. This is his own business. But it's obviously of enough public concern that the Premier doesn't want him in cabinet and that the police were called to his house. It is unacceptable for Jonathan Denis to run for public office while saying his conduct involving police cannot be known to the public. If Jim Prentice won't fire Jonathan Denis as a candidate, if Jonathan Denis will not show the public why police came to his home, and what is so scandalous about a lawsuit that there is a court order banning people from reporting on it, then if Jim Prentice won't do that, and if he won't do the right thing, voters must fire this scandalous minister. For TheRebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant.